The desert was quiet, too quiet, and that was the first sign something was wrong. Most folks believed the Arizona plains were empty past sundown, but the cowboy riding through that evening knew better. Elias Crow, a broke drifter with nothing but a tired horse and a worn-out coat, felt danger long before he saw it. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the years of running from trouble. Or maybe it was fate. Because that night, fate had plans for him. A sharp cry split the silence. A woman's cry. Elias snapped the reins and charged toward the sound. The ground thundered under his horse's hooves as he burst through a patch of desert sage and froze at what he saw. A young Apache woman, no older than 22, was surrounded by 3 armed men. She wasn't pleading, she wasn't running. She stood tall, proud, refusing to show fear. That alone told Elias everything. She wasn't helpless. She was fighting. One man grabbed her arm. She elbowed him in the ribs so hard he buckled. Another raised a rifle. And that was when Elias made a decision he didn't think, just acted. His revolver was out before the attackers even spotted him. "Let her go!" he barked, voice cold as iron. The men spun around. "Who the hell are you?" one growled. "Just a cowboy," Elias answered, "who hates bad odds." The standoff lasted seconds, but felt like hours. Elias knew he was outnumbered. He knew he couldn't win a long fight. But he also knew something else. They weren't expecting a poor stranger to intervene, and that was the advantage. The first attacker lunged. Elias fired a warning shot. The bullet smacked the dirt inches from the man's boot. "Next one won't miss," Elias warned. The men hesitated, cowards at heart, then scrambled onto their horses and bolted into the desert haze. When the dust settled, only Elias and the young woman remained. She stared at him fiercely, not scared, not grateful, just studying him. "You didn't need to help me," she said quietly. "I know," Elias replied, "but it looked like you needed it." Her expression softened. "My name is Ayanna," she said, "and you just made yourself part of something dangerous, cowboy." Elias felt a chill run through him. He'd suspected those men weren't simple bandits. Ayanna's tone confirmed it. "What were they after?" he asked. She hesitated. Too long. Then she said something that made Elias grip his revolver tighter. "They weren't after me. They were after what I'm carrying." Elias frowned. "And what's that?" But before she could answer, the sky cracked with gunfire from the ridge above them. Ayanna grabbed his arm. "They found us," she whispered, "and if you stay with me, your life will never be the same." Elias didn't know it yet, but that moment, the moment he chose to protect a stranger, was the moment everything changed forever. Gunfire echoed off the rocky ridge, sharp and hungry. Elias didn't wait to see where the shots came from. He grabbed Ayanna's wrist and pulled her toward the nearest cover, a cluster of sandstone boulders jutting out of the earth like broken teeth. They slid behind the rocks just as another bullet shattered a piece of stone inches above Elias's head. "Who are these men?" he demanded. Ayanna pressed her back against the rock, breathing fast, but not panicked. "They're not soldiers. They're not lawmen. They're hunters." "Hunting you?" "Hunting what I carry." Elias gritted his teeth. "You said that before. What is it?" Ayanna looked at him, really looked at him, like she was deciding whether he was worth trusting. Then she reached into the leather pouch tied across her chest and pulled out a small object wrapped in animal hide. She unrolled it just enough for Elias to glimpse a strange stone tablet carved with symbols, Apache markings mixed with something older, something he didn't recognize. "What is that?" he whispered. "A map," she said, "to a place most people believe is a myth. And those men want it. They'll kill anyone who stands between them and what the map leads to." Elias exhaled slowly. "So that's the trouble I stepped into." Ayanna nodded. "You still have time to walk away." "Too late," he muttered, listening to boots crunching on gravel above them. "They already know I'm with you." The footsteps grew louder. 3 silhouettes appeared at the top of the ridge, moving quickly, rifles raised. "We need to move," Elias said. Ayana didn't argue. They darted from one rock to another, using the rising wind to cover their tracks. Elias kept one hand on his revolver and one eye on Ayana. She moved silently, sure-footed, almost as if the land itself guided her. But the hunters weren't far behind. One shot cracked so close it grazed Elias's sleeve. He ducked, grabbed Ayana's arm, and they sprinted toward a narrow cut in the canyon wall. "This way," she said. They squeezed through the gap, the walls scraping their shoulders. The hunters were too large to follow quickly, buying them a few precious moments. At the end of the passage, the canyon opened into a dry riverbed. Elias scanned the horizon. "We need a horse," he said. "We need distance," Ayana corrected. "They won't stop until—" A sudden explosion of dust erupted beside them. Elias spun around as a bullet ricocheted off a boulder. "They're flanking us," he shouted. Ayana pointed toward a fallen log near the riverbed. "Under there!" They dove behind it just as 2 riders appeared on the ridge, silhouettes against the burning sunset. Elias glanced at Ayana. "If they want that map this badly, what's at the end of it?" Ayana didn't answer right away. When she finally spoke, her voice was low, almost haunted. "Something buried for 100 years. Something men would kill tribes, soldiers, even each other to claim." Elias swallowed. "What kind of treasure?" he asked. Ayana turned her eyes toward him. "It is not treasure," she said. "It's a secret." And from the look on her face, Elias knew this was only the beginning. The hunters closed in fast. Elias counted at least 5 silhouettes on the ridge now, moving with purpose, rifles glinting beneath the fading light. The temperature dropped as the desert shifted from gold to bruised purple, shadows stretching long and thin. Ayana clutched the map tighter. "We can't stay here. Once night falls, they'll box us in." Elias made a quick decision. "Where does the map lead?" "The truth. Now." Ayana inhaled deeply. "To a burial cave hidden beneath Spirit Mesa," she said. "A place my ancestors protected for generations." "What's inside the cave?" "Something the world isn't ready to unleash." Elias's eyes narrowed. "Then why are they chasing you? For power?" "For control," she whispered. "What lies in that cave can turn tribes against each other, settlers against tribes, even brother against brother." Elias didn't know much about ancient secrets, but he knew enough to understand one thing. If men were willing to kill for it, it didn't belong in their hands. "Fine," he said. "Take me there. If I'm already in this fight, I may as well know what I'm dying for." Ayana held his gaze for several seconds, long enough to show trust had finally settled between them. "Then follow me." They sprinted along the riverbed, keeping low. Elias's boots hit the cracked earth with heavy thuds, while Ayana moved almost weightlessly beside him. The moon rose slow and pale, giving the land a ghostly glow. Behind them, the hunters spread out, closing in. By the time they reached the base of Spirit Mesa, Elias could hear the distant whinny of horses and the metallic clink of rifles being loaded. "We're out of time," he said. Ayana grabbed his hand. "Not yet." She led him along a narrow ledge carved into the rock face. Wind whipped around them, threatening to knock them off. But Ayana moved like she'd walked this path her whole life. At the end of the ledge was a dark opening, small, hidden, nearly impossible to see unless you knew where to look. A cave. Ayana stopped just inside, holding the map to her chest. "This is where it leads." Elias took a step forward but froze when he felt the ground change beneath his boot. Ayana noticed his hesitation. "What's wrong?" "This ain't a sacred place." He knelt, touching the dusty floor. "This is a trap." Before Ayana could respond, a rifle cocked behind them. The hunters had arrived. The leader, a scarred man with cold eyes, grinned. Hand over the map, girl. The cowboy can walk away. Elias stood tall, placing himself between her and the rifles. You'll take the map over my dead body, he growled. The hunter shrugged. That works too. He raised his gun. Ayanna stepped forward suddenly, shouting, Stop! Every rifle paused. Even Elias froze. She held up the map, then tore it clean in half. No map, she said. No trail. No treasure for murderers. The hunters exploded with rage, but in their anger, they made mistakes. Elias didn't. He lunged, knocking the leader's rifle aside. The shot misfired, echoing through the cave and sending a thunderous vibration through the rock. Dust rained from the ceiling. A small tremor shook beneath their feet. The hunters panicked. The cave was collapsing. Elias grabbed Ayanna's hand. Run! They dashed out just as the entrance caved in, sealing the hunters inside forever. Silence returned to the desert. Ayanna fell to her knees, exhausted. Elias knelt beside her. You destroyed the map, he said softly. She looked at him with steady eyes. It was the only way to save us, and to save what should stay buried. Elias nodded slowly. Then I guess everything changed forever. Ayanna smiled, small, tired, grateful. Not everything, she whispered. Some things changed for the better. Elias didn't know what tomorrow held, but he knew one thing. Saving her wasn't a mistake. It was the beginning of something he never expected. And somewhere deep inside, the poor cowboy felt rich for the first time.